Absolutely Talks, empowering talent for global careers. Brought to you by Absolutely French, presented by Armel Pervin.
Everyone, I'm happy to welcome Delphine Boyer today. Delphine is from SLB, Schlumberger, for the people who... and she's the Employee Benefits and Mobility Manager. And today we are going to speak about beyond the expat bubble, how spouse integration, autonomy and careers are redefining global mobility. Just a small words. For those who don't know me, I'm Armel Perben, founder of Absolutely French. I created Absolutely French after being an expat spouse myself in 7 different countries. I experienced firsthand what it means to lose confidence, to rebuild who you are, to question your identity and sometimes your career. Since 2015, we have supported and integrated more than 1,200 expatriate partners here in Paris. And through these years, one thing has become very clear: spouse integration is no longer a soft topic. It's a strategic topic, it's a performance topic, and it's a retention topic. And that's exactly why we are here today. Welcome, Delphine.
Thank you.
Could you please, Delphine, start by introduce yourself?
Thank you for the invitation, Armel. So my name is Delphine. I am working with SLB, Schlumberger, for about almost 20 years. I will celebrate it in November. And I had different roles in the organization, mostly in HR, but in both employee-facing role, but also compensation and benefits. And today I am in charge of, like you said, running and designing benefits policies, but also mobility programs. And I am the mom of 2 kids, which is an important actually aspect today, especially in this conversation. They are young, they are 3 and 6. So it brings a little bit of sparkle in my day to day. And also I'm a coach, and I've been traveling a lot with SLB. So basically why I bring these 2 topics, because coaching, actually, I decided to train myself to coaching, to bring another leg to the way I was performing my job, whatever job, as HR manager or whatever position in compensation benefits. I think it brings another dimension, and it can be linked actually to the topic we will discuss. And the fact that the traveling a lot, I counted the numbers of countries, and I'm close to 50 countries. So that also has an impact actually in my day to day.
And you were also an expat.
So yes, I've been actually very young in my career. I have agreed to go to Singapore, and then to Malaysia, and then I went to Cameroon. So each time I was spending roughly 2 years. So typical SLB development model in different places, very fast mobility, but enough exposure to make you actually get an understanding of location where we work.
Yes, and so you understand the cultural shock because you have lived it several times. So it's very important, I think, to have people as you in that position, because you really understand the need. Okay, thank you. And what is your focus in your position? What is important for you?
So today, I think the focus and what is important is striving the right balance between protecting the heritage of policy practices I have and adapting them to the new world realities and the new business realities. And really striving this balance, which is sometimes really hard to find, because actually you can have very contradictory, everybody comes with very good intention, but it can be very contradictory on the way and on the decision making. So I would say that's my main focus. Then there are some key topics that remain key priorities: the health, the well-being. These are some key topics on which I spend time and attention to make sure that the programs we develop continue to be richer and stronger to the need, and close to the need of families. And I include families here because it's health and well-being is not only our employees, obviously. Then the topic related to how the compensation package should be structured, including benefits, including the comp, including the cash. That is really a question mark that I am working on as we speak. I would say these are so making sure that we keep a very strong core benefits offer, but at the same time making the adaptability and the flexibility of the package, including some benefits, meaningful for everyone.
Can I ask you how many expats do you take care every year?
So SLB is one of the largest mobility or expat community among energy companies. It's roughly 9% of our headcount, roughly 9,000 employees, including long-term assignment, but also commuters. So it's a big population, and it's still a very big population.
So you have a lot of work to do.
One different fact is that the operational model of SLB is very different from many other companies, meaning that in my role, I don't have daily interaction with expat, or I don't manage the typical way of creating actually the mobility from A to Z. Mm-hmm. We have an kind of an approach that is very centralized and global across the world.
And when you look back at the last 10, 15 years, what has really changed in international mobility? Especially in SLB.
So I would say that so it's hard to comment what has changed internally without commenting what has changed externally. Because the world has completely is putting some cost pressure internally that definitely makes us rethink why we use mobility and how we use it. So that's the first thing. We have a couple of downturns, so many cost control initiative, and over time, actually, it has the biggest weight actually on mobility pattern models we have. The second one, obviously, is the feeling that world is closing, the visa, the restriction related to immigration is becoming stronger and stronger. And there is a very big push for localization from clients, actually jurisdictions across the world. So that localization aspect is a key element actually in our strategy. Although we have been using historically mobility to develop our leaders. When I was talking about the right balance, everybody has it's a good intention to localize people. It's a good intention to develop our managers overseas, but what is the right balance? To continue to do both? Where do we put the needle, actually? The main question.
Difficult point.
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is one point.
So the cost pressure. Immigration. And maybe the last one, I would say that family aspiration, remote work, the fact that all the work is getting dematerialized somehow, while we work in an industry where people are going to the field, is physical, even if more and more part of our jobs can be done in central, in what we call performance life centers, which are kind of groups, digital group, and they can manage the rig from far. But we still have a lot of our employees who need to go in our offices, in our manufacturing center, in our field locations. And that actually creates what is, again, the right balance. This has an impact on mobility because aspiration of new society, the teleworking pressure makes us feel, okay, do we need really to be mobile, to be working on a global job, for instance? I can do it from anywhere since it's a global role. So that's and another big impact I feel on mobility.
Because you really need to have mobile leaders in SLB. It's important for you.
What is important is to have employees who have been exposed to the right environment and to the right complexities in order to be able to adapt and to make the right decision in front of uncertainties. And in fact, mobility, this is what it brings. It throws you in a situation where it's the unknown, it's a lot of uncertainty, and in fact, you need to rebuild and to go into your resources to reestablish actually some comfort. And this is what is the beauty of mobility. And in fact, we have been using actually, I think this historically, this way of developing our talent because it helps them to recreate this professional and personal network anywhere they go. And then it makes people that talk the same language everywhere they go. And it helps a lot the culture of the company to spread, as well as developing people who are not afraid of taking some decision and adapting and quickly getting the right decisions. I feel that mobility was used for that, and that's why it was important. Now it's still important, but we don't know at which level. That's
yes, and
the big difference
adapt,
compared to 10 years ago. Back to the question.
And you didn't mention one point what is important in my side is that we see a big evolution for the need of the expat spouses. Do you see that in SLB? Because in Absolutely French, more and more expat spouses want to have a job in their new location. Is it the same in SLB? Do you see something different?
So I see a big difference. So 10 years back, I would say, I don't think there is a time, I think since the 20s, in fact, since I started working, and since I feel that any spouse working in a farm is no longer a dependent. We used to have the dependent name. Yeah. I never met actually any dependent in my career so far. It was always a decision maker, which has a big impact actually on the decision we go, we don't go.
Right.
And then on top of that, or today, many spouses have a professional identity. And that professional identity, I don't think there is a willingness anymore to fade it because we go into an international assignment, and how we can use actually the mobility to improve actually and continue nourish and this professional identity to keep actually the marketable aspect of the spouse profile. So absolutely, yes, I believe it was a topic 10 years back, 15 years back, and it's still today. I believe it's the number one reason for non-mobility today, usually.
Yeah.
It was, we ran internal surveys 15 years back. It was the number one topic, is still today. Most of the time when we present an opportunity, when it's declined, is because of the family of the spouse. And they are key in the decision.
So SLB has always had strong expatriate communities, and you also have a spouse association. Today, how do you think about the balance between creating that kind of protective expat ecosystem and encouraging real local integration and autonomy?
So I believe there is not necessarily contradiction between these two aspects. So indeed, SLB has, I think, more than 60 chapters, local chapters, we call that.
Wow.
And more than 4,000 spouse association.
Amazing.
And I absolutely recognize that they do an amazing work.
Oui.
And I think that is also linked to the pace of mobility. You know, when I explain how fast I move younger, in fact, pace, the SSA support actually the integration, a fast integration and a kind of common language, and kind of smoothen the famous cultural shock when we arrive. We know that depending on the length of time employees stay in a place, the integration will matter. You know, I think that if it's 2 years, it's not the same stake as if the person is staying for 6 years. We go also for longer assignments. So absolutely, that is touching an important topic, that if the spouse feel home where she is appointed, absolutely, it's big differentiator. It will accelerate actually the settlement of the family, the performance, the comfort of the entire and the well-being of the entire family in the new location. And I'm thinking of that is because I always felt that Singapore was my home, because I found in love, when I was in Malaysia, I was been always a little bit sick of Singapore and France. So I see exactly what you mean. Since it was each time 2 years, it was a kind of, did not really had the depth of and the impact it could have it for if I stay longer. So I believe the faster the integration is done in the new country, the best it is for everybody, company and the family.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's what we do, trying to get this integration faster. Just my point is also because I've been also an expat in different countries, and I've seen this expat bubble, which is very comfortable for the expats, but which is not integration for me. And it's good, but the thing is, how can you go out, if you are, when you arrive, it's really, I've lived that in different countries. So what do you do to help them also not stay in this expat bubble?
Yeah. So I think that the language, learning the culture will be the first element to help them get out of this expat bubble. Obviously helping them to create, actually to invest themselves in a job, in some certification, but with physical and real interaction in the country that will help. I also feel that the SSA, the Spouse Association, really help them to have local. I think that when an employee, spouse can very easily stay home. And this will be kind of the first, the first reaction when someone is not adapting, not feeling well. The cocoon will be home. So any opportunity to have them interact with the external world, whereas it is the bubble, the expat bubble, or outside of the expat bubble, will be a good. Exactly. Yeah. So I feel that, the SSA is kind of the bridge between the first interaction to the unknown is in a soft approach with different people from different culture, because actually in the SSA you have different nationalities. So you also have a first start of the unknown. So SSA will definitely help the language culture. What you do, absolutely French, having some organizing some events into the city with different mix of nationality, with the cultural agenda of what's happened. All those initiatives actually really help to get out of the bubble of expats.
And I
kids
think,
also.
Yes. But kids, usually it's always international school, so you still stay. Yeah. And really, I think, because I've seen so many expats staying in this bubble, and when you stay in this bubble, sometimes you avoid integration, and then you miss something for me, because integration is really interesting to find a job, to develop yourself also, not only. So it's well-being is connected for me with integration a lot. So and I know that what the Dover Association is crucial for the expat spouses when they moved. And I didn't know that you have so many places where they do this job. So, wow, great job for all these spouses. What do expat partners expect that previous generations maybe didn't?
I think the first thing that comes in my mind is a real career.
Right.
And it's not a career pause. It's not a career, they want to maintain employability. They want to maintain, their strengths, what they can bring. I think the generation, all those generations, and this is also why I went to coaching, is to get a deep purpose of sense of meaningfulness in the things I'm doing as part of my job, as a human being. And I do believe that all those new generation are looking for that. They are looking for a deep sense of belonging, feelings of what I'm doing every day matters. That's why I think those new generation are looking for things much more concrete, and they won't be ready to say, okay, I do a cross on my career.
Right.
That's the main thing. After, obviously, the well-being, the family, continuing to develop the family. One thing I want to maybe allude also, because when I had this question, I prepared it. It was the fact that I think the topic of having support at any stage of your woman health stage is super important. And when I was talking about health and about well-being, for me, that's really in the Maslow, the first element. And recently we have introduced a new benefit related to that, to fertility planning, to family planning, to menopause support, all those different stages, to hormonal treatment also for men. And in fact, those elements are also key. It's not because you go overseas that you want to make a pause actually on your project, your personal project of family. So you need to have the support to get the right place to go, with the right support, with the right level of understanding of your culture, of who you are, anywhere you go. And there are some providers now who can help us and partners we work with. And I do believe this makes a huge difference actually in the experience. Or even for a single woman who continues to his expat. At 35, she starts asking plenty of questions on herself, on her future, if she's single. And at 40, it's going to be so all that is planning, and we can give her tools today to say, okay, I take some decision today at 30, 35 to give me a peace of mind when I will meet with the right partner to do the family, but I will have planned properly ahead, things. So this for me is also a new trend on top of the professional aspiration and the human being aspiration.
In your experience, what are the first signs that a spouse might be struggling during assignment?
So the first one, she will stay home.
Right.
She will close herself in the curtains, I think, is one element of declining, invitation, and also the need to go back home very frequently. That will be another one. Every opportunity to go back home and not plan in country some vacations, or nearest country, discover the region, and having to go home and to be looking for discomfort from home. That's a key one. Having no more the curiosity to meet with new people, to meet with the diversity around her, and adapt, and then willingness to adapt to it. That will be the longest effect. And then after, you will automatically touch the partner, which is usually the employee of our organization, because he will start to talk about it a little bit, and then more frequently. And in fact, depending on how goes the situation, if it escalates too much, at one point, in fact, the hard decision needs to be taken to go back home because it's no longer sustainable. And in fact, this will be a complete failure of the mobility. I would say of the support we can give to a mobility, which is where early signs needs to be identified and then coach supported toward,
Yeah, exactly. What we see, we have in Absolute French, we have a specific attention to the first expatriation and to the more than 3 expatriation.
More than 3.
Yes, because more than 3, they get tired of doing the effort, and so it's same for you.
Yeah.
And so, do you try to I don't know, to keep no more than 3 expatriation? Or
we see people in some career who have been 5, 6 different assignments. I do agree with you that at one point, in fact, even for the employee, from a performance standpoint, I think there is a plateau in terms of new skill developed. Now the person can bring lots of things in the new location. It's kind of, and something that, when you are expat, and I lived it, you feel special. You are different. You are different home. You are different in the assignment location. And in fact, to re-normalize yourself to a normal life, when you are used to be always different during 20 years, the renormalization is even harder. And that one also, I think it's not only the integration, but it's also the renormalization. Both aspects are really, really key, because it creates, in fact, expectation create by default expectation about life. I'm not even talking about compensation and standards of living, just about life. And it needs to be supported and accompanied, if I can say.
Yeah, true. And it's good because when I listen to you, you really take care of your program, your mobility, that you know everything about spouse and how they can feel. And
we know. Do we do it always? I'm not sure. But there is some awareness, I think, yes, across SLB and in the decision we make. And now we are a very pragmatic organization, and we will also...
And you have a long experience.
Exactly.
So I think you can teach other companies what work and what is not working.
Yes, but also we are very strong in our decision also sometimes, and the adaptation required from that we ask our employees is really high also. You know, when sometimes we are very strong in the way we manage return home because it's for business reasons and they adapt. They have to adapt, you know, it's so I don't want to give you the perfect, but I think there is this general awareness among management because we all felt it. So actually there will be always the required empathy either from top management, from the management, from the cohort of colleagues of what the employee experience and how to actually support it and accelerate actually those moments, reduce those difficult moments.
When you assess whether an is successful, how much weight do you realistically give to spouse integration in terms of engagement, performance, and retention?
I think that if we are completely honest, so do we take spouse integration as part of our KPIs success? The answer is no. Now, I believe that if we are completely honest with ourselves, if there is no integration of the spouse, that really makes at stake actually the mobility, the long-term mobility, the retention even with the company, and in fact up to the EVP because actually, you know, it will have an impact on others as well. So I do believe that it's a good 40-50% integration of the success of a mobility. At least half, yes, at least at a minimum half. Now, very often, since we are very, you know, there are other elements and with time, it is helped usually. You know, it's other element would take over this topic, but I would say in the first year is more than 50%, and then it fades with time during the mobility of the duration of the assignment, I would say.
Okay. Yeah.
My answer is clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Looking ahead, what do you think global mobility teams will need to rethink most in the coming years?
The first one, I think it's flexibility that is asked by new generations. So, you know, there is a big trend today is less cash, more attention, more support, dedicated support. Employees want flexibility. They want to be able to decide where they put the money on. Is it on a very high standard house, or is it in the education of their kids, or is it in their travel? So all that, or in their vacation. I think, you know, the definition as per market and that one, I think it's fading with time. And this is where there is this flexibility to be given. And actually the focus where we need to absolutely, I think, not give up is the topic of health, topic of well-being, the topic of repatriation. This is where if the company fail on that one, we need employee in good health actually to achieve.
So they can't say, I don't want this service.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in fact, there are some
you need something.
Exactly. So I think it's really defining what are the core services on which we need to be answering the right approach and even be creative, going beyond what is expecting. Depending on the value of providing schooling, housing at a very high standard depends from one person to another. And I think if we won't be able actually to do plus everywhere, that's where we give them actually the key of the engine to say, okay, you decide where you put, where you want to put the biggest, that is to address the cost constraint that we all, situation that we all have. And regarding the spouse support, I would say that again, having some flexibility, because the flexibility for the spouse, do they need language class support? Is it coaching? Is it some equivalent certification? I think the network and the relationship, this one is again like the health. It's the key one to have. What will serve, what will nourish actually the deep sense?
Yeah, well, I'm not totally agree with you on this point. Because for me, the spouse doesn't know what is the impact on their real life. I just say it as an example because if they have to choose, usually they will choose the coaching because they will think it's the most impactful, but they don't understand.
They don't understand. No, yeah.
But
don't provide coaching as well.
Yeah. But they don't understand that integration, if you have a coaching and no integration, it means no sense.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
I think it's more on... Okay, I get you. I think what I was saying is that the core is having this the social the ability that they will have to create their social network / professional network in a new assignment, starting from a whiteboard.
Oui.
And that's the number one. And how to do that? So that we still need to simulate those meetings, those interactions. But then how they do feed their sense of purpose is very personal. That's exactly the coaching. I think for me, coaching is not, we have one rule in SLB. We provide actually support only for careers. We don't provide support for coaching and development, personal growth, because we feel that it is very personal and is not what we aim for. And I think that's the right balance. I think that's where we want to go, and we want to continue while we continue to support actually through the SSS, through different initiatives.
Yeah, we do a lot. Okay, thank you, Delphine. It was really interesting to have you today. So we could continue, but the time is flying.
Okay.
So just to hand. So we see that global mobility is evolving very quickly, and behind every segment, there is not just a business objective, but there is a couple, a family. Thank you, SLB, because you really understand that, and you are really an example for other companies, I'm sure. For the next talk, I will be happy to have 2 women expatriates who will come with us for the 8th of March. Thank you, Delphine. And please follow us on YouTube and on all the podcast platform. Thank you so much, Delphine.
Talk to you soon. See you soon.
Yes.
Bye.